Khayree Beckem back at you with another video on Kuttah Spoken Truth. Everybody been talking about Tyler Perry's divorce sisters, and we're going to be diving deeper into this series because you got to understand this is more than just entertainment. We're going to be breaking down the psychology, relationship dynamics, manipulation, emotional warfare, and the hidden truths that's buried inside these many characters and situations. Because a lot of these scenes we're going to get to reflect what's really happening in modern relationships today. So I want you to understand this is just not a review, but it is a breakdown. And so we're going to be dealing with this episode after episode. Now, in this scene, you have Rashida, who's arguing with her husband, Pastor Jeff, right in front of everybody. They going back and forth in the public instead of handling their issues behind closed doors. And this right off shows you that the structure of their relationship is fractured. You have to understand that relationships supposed to move as a united front. The moment outsiders are able to visibly see a crack in your foundation, respect start leaving the building. And this is a problem that a lot of people in modern relationship deal with. They have issues right out in front of everybody instead of handling it behind closed doors. What sense do it make for you to be going back and forth with your husband, back and forth with your wife in public for people to see? This don't make no sense, man. Now, psychologically, in this scene, something I want you to also understand when you watch the show that Rashida did something that ought not to be done. She going back and forth with her husband, Jeff, mind you, who is the pastor. So not only is he in authority over her as her husband, but she is underneath his authority as a member of his church because he's the pastor. And yet she's undermining her husband and undermining the pastor right in front of people. And she did this by trying to prioritize her friend. I want y'all to hear me out. She began to prioritize her friends' emotions over the actual mission and program at hand. So Jeff is like, listen, I'm bringing my homeboy. He's a big supporter of what we got going on. And she was like, no, don't bring him because I want to bring my homegirl Naomi. And you know how Naomi going to be acting. And this is a no-no, y'all. A big no-no. And this goes for both men and women. You should never prioritize anybody else's feelings, anybody else's emotions over the actual mission and the program that y'all dealing with at hand. This always going to cause a problem. And a lot of relationships today begin to collapse because they're prioritizing other people's feelings. It becomes too important. It becomes their duty. And they try to cater to people's feelings instead of the program or the purpose of the two people within the relationship, man. You can't do that. In this scene, a lot of you guys, I know you don't want to hear it, but it must be said. This woman right here, who is Naomi, the one that experienced a divorce, and right here is Geneva and their other friend Tiffany. Now, Naomi points out to Geneva a big fallacy, a big problem that a lot of relationships run into. She tells Geneva that she shouldn't have a young, attractive woman around her husband. They have a new nanny to watch their kid, and I believe her name is Anika. And Naomi are like, what the hell going on? If you have any sense, you won't be having a young, attractive woman as a nanny around your husband. Are you crazy? And honestly, She's not wrong. I know a lot of you fellas, you don't want to hear this, but she's not wrong. This is a setup that becomes temptation waiting for opportunity. And over here on Kuttah Spoken Truth, we are advocate for the scripture, and the scripture in Proverbs chapter 6, around the 27th and 28th verse, asks the question, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? This is letting you know the moment you play with temptation long enough, eventually something catches fire. Another scripture to point out to you is found in Ecclesiasticus, you know, the 25th chapter, when they talk about gaze not on a maid, lest thou fall by the things that are precious in her. See, a lot of you guys, you overestimate your discipline while underestimating proximity in human nature. Attraction mixed with assets create danger. So you think you could be around a young, very attractive woman? She got that body like you want, huh? She smell good, she look good, and you think proximity and human nature ain't gonna kick in? You gotta be a fool, man. You gotta be stupid. This is why wisdom always try to teach you to avoid unnecessary temptation before destruction happens. And a lot of you guys, you constantly put this into motion because you're around attractive women and don't think that you won't fall victim to that which is precious in here. The scripture says, stumble not at the beauty of a woman. Okay? And a lot of women, I got to get on you about this. I have met and I have talked to so many women, have dealt with so many women who push the notion that it's okay to take their man to the strip club as long as they there with them, but they don't know what type of beast they created. Women get mad at men who cheat, but yet they constantly put their man in a position to cheat, exposing him to all type of women. And you don't think he ain't gonna fall victim to temptation and proximity? See, women is underneath this false illusion that men can be around women and nothing will happen because they don't have the same perspective. See, a lot of women believe that men and women can be friends, but this is quite contrary to male nature. When man is around a woman long enough, proximity breeds attraction. And this is what a lot of you have to accept. And this is what a lot of you have to deal with. So if your man, by virtue of you women, is around attractive women, sometimes your friends, sometimes your homegirl, sometimes the people that you associate with, and you don't think that some type of attraction is not going to happen, no, it's going to happen. And again, to quote to you, Proverbs chapter 6, can a man take fire into his bosom and not be burned? The answer is no. So Naomi was right here, telling Geneva, trying to get her some understanding, trying to get wisdom. Listen, why you got this nanny around your husband? You always at work, you always busy, and here it is, he at home with your daughter and with the nanny that look good, and you don't think some type of attraction is not going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. This is why a lot of time on jobs, people begin to have work husbands and work wives because proximity, I can't say this enough, breeds attraction. Who you hang around long enough, feelings, emotions, and certain attractions will develop. This is why you always have to be on guard. Now, this scene go back to the first scene that I wrote down. Here it is, Rashida in her office at the church breaking down emotionally because she can't handle the pressure and issues inside of her marriage. And this is another reality people don't talk about. Women in the emotional disposition that they often find themselves in tends to bleed into every area of her life. Fellas, you gotta understand this. Women are emotional by nature. And when things is not going their way, when they underneath the pressure and underneath, the problems and issues that come from relationships, it has a way of bleeding over into every area of their life. And one thing they are known for is taking their issues to social media. And they do this for attention, they do it for validation, they do it to feel good about themselves. Okay? But here you can see that on her face and her energy and her communication when you watch the episode and her decision making that she's underneath a lot of pressure from her relationship with Jeff, the pastor. But guys, I want you to understand there is a difference between when you crack underneath pressure as it relates to your relationship and a difference between when a woman crack underneath pressure. See, fellas, you're not afforded the luxury to collapse emotionally. See, women is given a safe place, but not you fellas. At the end of the day, you still got to perform. You still got to provide. You still got to lead. You still got to push forward even when internally you're breaking apart. And this is why a lot of you guys, you end up finding yourself in survival mode and you compartmentalize a lot of issues and problems that you're dealing with, and it kills your momentum, it kills your ambition, and it kills your tenacity. It kills even, I want y'all to hear me out, it even kills your testosterone. And this is why a lot of you walking around with the Al Bundy syndrome. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to get off the couch because you don't compartmentalize a lot of issues instead of facing them head on. Because you understand in this society, you don't got time to be breaking down. You don't got time to collapse. But you have to remember, you still must deal with the issues because you're not allowed the luxury or a safe place to land like women are allowed in this society. But this is a deeper point I want to point out. She's is with what we would consider a high value man. He have resources. He's popular among his peers. He have status. He's a pastor. He's very known in society. His network is up to par, right? And a lot of women would say that they want to be with a high value man until they actually get one. A lot of women, they sit back and lust after lifestyle with these people they perceive to be high quality, with these people they perceive to be high value. They lust after the image of being with a high value man. They lust after the money of being with a high value man. They lust after the status of being with a high value man. They lust after even the influence of being with a high value man, but they don't understand being with a high value man brings unwanted pressure. Rashida is dealing with the pressure of a marriage. And that pressure sometimes can become psychological warfare against you. Because a lot of women, they enter into these dynamics with who they perceive to be high value, and they don't understand the responsibility, the warfare, the expectation, and the headaches that attach to being with that kind of man. Everybody want the crown, but everybody can't wear the crown. Everybody want to be called princess to the king until they actually put in the position and have to wear the weight of that crown. Okay? And being with a high value man, even in modern times, even in modern society, I hate to have to inform you about this, women. You're going to have to turn a blind eye to a lot of things. You're going to have to, because he's not going to move like your average Joe out here. He's not going to have the same mindset as the average Joe. Sometimes he may even exercise his options. And sometimes he may even do things that's not even considerate towards you or the relationship, because mentally he's moving on a whole different platform in comparison to somebody you will deal with that you consider to be average. Okay? And then you got a lot of women, they understand this, they know this. They'll tell the average guy, you can't do this. But the average guy tell them, but you know, the celebrities do it, the rappers and so forth. They say they got money, they able to do it. So innately, a lot of women know to be with somebody who's this society considered to be high value or high quality, they know they're going to have to turn a blind eye to a lot of things. And if they don't turn a blind eye to a lot of things, they're going to find themselves dealing with the emotional pressure, heaviness, and often issues like Rashida in this episode dealing with from being in a relationship with what we consider to be a high value man. So don't ask for something that you can't handle. And I must say that again, because this applies both to men and women. Do not ask for something you cannot handle, because what you asking for A lot comes with it. Okay? This scene right here is one of the most important scenes of this first episode of The Four Sisters. Here you have Anika and her mother, Geneva, and again, one of the friends of the female group, Tiffany. Here she had to correct her daughter, Anika, because Anika started mirroring some language and behaving patterns that she been exposed to from her father. And now let me say this, man. This is how children operate. This is how children, conduct themselves. They just don't listen to what their parents say. They observe what their parents also do. You have to understand that your kids are a living mirror of you. If your child constantly see dysfunction, disrespect, cheating, emotional chaos, or unstable relationships, eventually those same patterns become normalized in their subconscious. This is why I tell you a lot of people, man, you can't be always saying whatever you want to say, doing whatever you want to do in front of your kids, because eventually, if they continue to see that, they're going to mirror that in life and they're going to normalize it. And this is why a lot of children end up growing up being exactly like their father, exactly like their mother, end up growing up repeating the same cycles, going through the same loop because of what they was exposed to when it comes to their parents. Parents, you got to understand, your behavior is training your children even when you're not intentionally teaching them. Let me say that again. Your behavior is training your children even when you're not intentionally teaching them. Bringing up your child in the way that they should go is very, very imperative, fellas. Now, I want you to hear this out. Now, I'm speaking to you fathers, and I'm definitely speaking to you mothers. This is one of the problems that began to occur with women growing up, repeating the same cycle of being whores or being slutted out, whatever the case may be, from watching their mother. Now, hear me out. Bringing women, multiple men around your children can become psychologically destructive. Your child will start normalizing instability. Your daughter would think it's okay to always have different men around them. Every time they turn around, a new guy they meet is their uncle. They know what you're doing. They know that you prostituting yourself out. And so psychologically, this become embedded in their heart. It becomes something that they put as an arsenal or a weapon of choice when they start dealing with men. And then that thing you know, she's out here trying to manipulate men with her body, with her looks, and sometimes even her opening up in her legs to get things out of men, to extract things out of men, because she grew up watching mama do the same thing. And then on the flip side, your son treat women any kind of way, treat them like whores, treat them and slut them out because they grew up watching mama be slutted out by all of these different men that has been coming in and out of their home. You can't be doing whatever you want to do. You can't be conducting yourself however you want to conduct yourself. Now, to get back to it, this young daughter right here, speaking to one of the dials in her hand, she said, "Damn, you so fine." And her mother look at her like, "Anika, where you get this foul language from?" Guess what she said? "I got it from Daddy." She started investigating for real. "What you mean you got it from Daddy?" She was like, "Yeah, when Daddy picking me up from school, Daddy always saying this to another woman. Damn, you so fine." This took her by surprise. See, sometimes children will even get you in trouble by what you do around them. And a lot of relationships today have suffered a collapse, have broken down because of what fathers and mothers do before their children. Children ain't gonna hold back. They gonna tell the truth all the time, man. Gonna tell the truth all the time. Children really don't start lying unless they're in trouble, but they really start lying because they are taught to lie. And I have known many women have told their children, okay, we going over here. Make sure you don't tell your daddy. Don't tell your daddy nothing. Or we gonna do this. Don't tell your daddy this. Okay, I'm about to go see this person. Make sure if anybody asks you where we went, you better tell them we went to the store. Tell them we went out to the park. So a lot of parents teach their children how to be good liars. And this become part of their nature as they grow up. Okay? So you got to be very careful in how you move, maneuver, and conduct yourself around your children. Right here is Naomi hooking up with somebody she hired in the personhood of Hakeem. To remind you, Naomi is a divorcee. She divorced from her husband. So she's living by the mantra that a lot of women love to quote and love to live by. And that is, in order to get over one man, you must get under a new man. And this is what you see in society a lot of times with women. When they make the attempt to remove the emotional baggage, the emotional energy, the frequency and vibrations that left behind by their ex, they start to attach themselves to somebody new quickly. And this is what we tag often as rebound energy, okay? And so you have a lot of women out here that would say, man, if I suffer a divorce, if I have to deal with another heartbreak, I'm going celibate. But how many women truly stay celibate until they was with the right guy for the rest of their life? Think about it. How many women can really say they was celibate and the next guy they got with, they still with right now? That's not the case. You have to really take into consideration, man, and women, many times when women is going through loneliness, when they are craving validation, when they are dealing with the turmoil of emotional void, and when they have an escalated desire for intimacy, when it becomes real strong, eventually they're going to fall victim to wanting another attachment. I know women will try to pride themselves on, I love being single. I know how to be alone. Women is able to be single and alone more than men. That's baloney. That's baloney. Even though they may be portraying to be single, you best to believe they got somebody that coming through there and knocking their boots. That's dusting off that raggedy box. So that's why they're able to go and spend some time portraying to the world that they are single, but they have somebody they calling on often to come and fill their hole up, man. Because they still want that attention. They still crave that energy, especially after they have got out of something that was serious, a relationship. Now I want you to pay attention to this. Here go another layer that Naomi right here is dealing with. Naomi, after her divorce, she began to be idle. She began to be idle. And you know the old saying, an idle mind is the devil workshop. Idle minds don't do nothing but create dangerous habits. When you go on do a divorce or a separation, whatever the case may be, you still must have purpose. You still must be driven. You still must be disciplined. You still must have something that you're able to focus your attention on and be productive. But if you have no purpose, if you have no structure, if you have no discipline, if you have nothing before your face to focus on and be productive with, guess what? Temptation will begin to speak to you louder and louder. And this is where a lot of women mess up at. Because when boredom sits in, I want y'all to hear me. When boredom sits in, women often suffer a collapse and they go seek more digging sticks. Boredom for a woman, man, spiritually and psychologically is very dangerous, man. Very dangerous. They become vulnerable. They become, you know, caught up with gossip, validation seeking, attention addiction. They become very impulsive. And that impulsiveness that a lot of women find themselves dealing with when boredom sits in become very destructive to them. See, women can't handle routine, not without purpose. It make them restlessness, okay? And restlessness without discipline always lead to chaos. You think a lot of women have high body count, and I'm not talking about the ones that's flat out whores, so on and so forth, but you think a lot of women have high body count because they didn't want to be good? They have high body count because they didn't know how to deal with boredom and this mantra that a lot of women live by. When they get out of one relationship to get over their ex, right? To heal from their ex, in their spirit, innately, they believe they have to go get underneath another one. And in this scene right here, this is exactly what Naomi is doing. A lot of these women who have suffered a divorce and is broken, they end up beginning to be even more sexually charged. When you go watch this episode and look at this scene, she began to be very bold in her approach with Hakeem. She came over there, no, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna put your mouth on me. I want you to do this. I'm telling you, man, women, man, when they are tied to a man and they suffer hurt and it leaves some type of trauma behind, one alternative they turn to is to be slutted out. To be slutted out. And here it is, you stumble upon these women, man. For the most part, you be thinking, oh, I got me a nice princess. I got me a high quality woman. And you realize somebody else behind the scenes, like Hakeem right here, is slutting a woman out that you thought is all that. This is the society we living in. We living in a society where a lot of these women is broken, heavy laden with different traumas and what have you. This is why, like in the other scene before this one, they like to be choked. They like to be beat. They like rough sex. They need that type of exuberant energy to feel alive, to feel taken. They want to be ravished, man. And a lot of you guys, you be going to these women and you be hooking up with these women and you be all plain and normal, man. I'm telling you, these women be want to be slutted out, man, for the most part, man. And if you're not slutting them out, man, you're not gonna leave a good impression on them. You're not gonna be able to imprint them because you have to go through all the different layers of hurt. They like an onion. You got to pull back this layer of hurt. You got to pull back this trauma. And one of the main way to pull back them different layers is to get all the way up in her stomach, slut her out, and beat her down, man. Beat her down. So in the scene, again, man, Naomi, she wanted to be slutted out. She wanted to be slutted out bad because she dealing with, crashing out and being a bug out from her husband divorcing her and going after a white woman. Just left a bad stain, a bad taste in her mouth, left her with unwanted trauma. And so she all messed up. She all screwed up, and psychologically, she messed up, right? But man, this was a good episode, man. Go check it out, man. We're gonna continue to go through this and break it down and give you, Kuttah Spoken Truth insight. To the next video. Peace.